Hey guys, welcome back to Coffee Talk. Grab your coffee.
Yes.
Join us for our talk today. We're in Florida
Yes.
still. We're at our son and daughter-in-law's house. We're dog sitting our grandpups. And so we thought, well, we're here. We're going to film some coffee
Yep.
talks.
Be productive.
Today, we're going to talk about some red flags that people, elderly people, might be financially abused. And we all know, if it's not us ourselves,
Yeah.
we all know some elderly people. We're going to talk about these red flags. And if you see them, then maybe you can help the people.
Yeah. And if you know of any red flags that we should include, write them down in the comments and let us know some of the red flags just to help other people out also.
The first thing to look for is unexplained large amounts that's been taken out of a person's checking or savings account that is very unusual for them. Now, my mother's 89. For the most part, she takes care of her paying the bills and so forth, but she has me balance her checkbook every month because that's just something that's gotten too much for her. And she gets confused. And so she wants me to go in and make sure it balances every month, make sure she has everything written down the way she should and all. So I would know if there's big amounts coming out that is very unusual. I would question that. So maybe there's a person in your life that has asked you to help in that area. That's a red flag that we should question if that happens. And I worked in the church office for years, and we had a volunteer come in that helped me once a week, and we asked her, we said, whenever you see anything come out of this account that seems a bit unusual or you don't know where this is going, we want you to bring that up and ask about it, because we felt like that was a good way to keep everything in check, that nothing went out that should not be going out.
There's no such thing as a dumb question. That everything needs, if it's kind of suspicious looking, go ahead and ask.
Another thing to look out for, if there's withdrawals or transfers from a person's account that they don't really understand or can't explain, that is a red flag that needs to be checked out. And maybe it's checked out and, oh, okay, this was paying your yearly rental insurance or whatever, and it came out and you had forgot about it or whatever. It may be nothing, but it may be something. So we need to keep track of these things.
Because most things, even for us, everything's pretty much routine. We know pretty much, okay, yeah, that's, that amount is this, that amount is that. But if you see an extra, it doesn't have to be a large amount. It could be $250. It could be, $150 for that matter. And he's like, what was that extra $150 for? Go ahead and, investigate a little bit. And it's better to be safe than sorry.
And you hear stories all the time on the news of people who work for businesses or whatever and skim money from them. And they usually do it little bits at a time so that nobody knows. And then before long, they have embezzled thousands of dollars. So, like he said, there's no stupid questions. If you see something suspicious that you don't know how to explain, make sure you investigate that, because we are, like in my case, I am there to protect my mother, to help her to not fall for one of these things.
Where I worked at, one time someone got hold of our banking information from a friend of theirs that we paid. And what they did is they went to like 3 or 4 different Kroger stores, and they only got like $150 to $200, and they got groceries, whatever, and that was their way of seeing if they could get by with that little amount. And then later on, they could start increasing it to $500 to $700. But they know it, they got by with it. But we spotted it right away and was able to close that account.
And with Keith and I, one time, and this was back when we used our debit card. We don't use our debit card anymore. We use credit card for everything. We had eaten at Olive Garden. We love eating at Olive Garden. So to pay, I had given the waiter our debit card, and he went somewhere in the back where they do their transactions, and he was gone a really
Long
long
time.
time. And I said, man, he's been gone a
Mm-hmm.
long time. The next day, um, there was a withdrawal out of our account for like 70 some dollars to a Kroger in Louisville, Kentucky. I have never been to a
Yeah.
Kroger in Louisville, Kentucky. So the bank called and said, we just got this transaction and we don't know if it's you. It was not me.
Yeah.
And then there was a gas station that this person had. So there was, I think, three total charges this
Mm-hmm.
person had put on our debit card, which comes right out of our checking
Yeah.
account. But because it was caught right away, the bank was able to reimburse us that money. But you have to be so careful. So we never use our debit
Yeah.
card. We stopped doing it then, and now we have a cash back credit card, which we always pay our bill in full every month. We never pay
Yeah.
interest, and we earn cash back. So anyway, but you have to be so careful these days.
Yep.
And most restaurants now have you pay at the table. So that's a good thing. That's a real good thing. If you are helping someone with their checking account, or maybe it's your own checking account,
Yeah.
and you see a check or a withdrawal has been given that says a loan or a gift, always check that out, because somebody might have gotten, we don't use our checkbook a lot anymore. We rarely write checks.
Yeah.
Everything's done online or automatic. But older people, my mother, for instance, uses checks. And so if you see a paper check that's been written and you are unsure why this person was given a loan or a gift, always check it out. We have to be so careful
Yeah.
about these things. Another thing that could be a red flag is not getting bank statements at the home. Now, most
Mm-hmm.
people get them online these days. My mother still gets a bank paper one from the bank every month that I reconcile her checkbook with. Now, say for instance, I go there to reconcile her checkbook and she doesn't have a bank statement. Well, I don't know. They just stopped sending them to me. I don't, that's a red
Red
flag.
flag.
We need to check that out. Why is she not getting a paper statement? Because she still uses paper checks, and that is the only way. She doesn't do online.
Yeah.
So that's the only way she has. She has a bank app, but she don't know how to use it. So she wouldn't know how to reconcile it through that. So that's a red flag that needs to be checked out. Another red flag would be if a person has a new power of attorney
Yeah.
and they don't understand, like, i don't I don't know why I have this power of attorney. Somebody might have been trying to take advantage of this person by getting a new power of attorney. I am my mother's financial power of attorney. My sister is my mother's health care power of attorney. So if it has to do with doctors and health care, my sister is that person who helps mom make those decisions. And if it comes to finances, then I am the one who helps my mother. But as long as my mother is of sound mind and can make good decisions, she's going to do that on
Mm-hmm.
her own. I'm just there not to take power over that, but just to help her. And so, if you have that elderly person in your life, it's important to have these documents in place because, for instance, if I was not her financial power of attorney, if I called the bank about a question on her account, they would not talk to me. You are nobody. You are her daughter, but you have no
Yeah.
authority to talk to me. But because I am her financial power of attorney, I can call the bank and I can say, I have a question on my mother's account, and they will answer my question. So it's so important that if we have elderly people in our lives that we are to oversee, that we have these legal documents in
Mm-hmm.
place. And we're going to do a video on
Yeah.
what legal documents you need to have as you get older. Another red flag is if there's a caretaker or another person who goes to your
Social worker or something like that.
yeah, who goes to the financial institution and ask questions on the behalf of your loved one or whatever, that's a red flag, because if they don't have the authority to do that. So these are just things to look out for to protect our loved ones. Another thing to look out for is if a person wants to alter or change a trust or a will. That's a big red flag. You don't have the authority to do that. So, like I said, we're going to do a video here soon, probably, on all the legal documents that you need to have in place as you age. And in our case, we have a special needs son. So there's other things that we have to have that protect him in the event of our loss.
Something happens to us,
So if there's a question or a subject that you would like for us to talk about in a coffee talk, let us know in the comments. Thanks for joining us for our coffee talk today. We'll see you next time on Retired and Loving It. If you would like to see more of our videos, click the video that just popped up on your screen.